Bill number 25 of 2024.
The first schedule.
I propose the question that the first schedule be approved. Chair, mover.
I would propose the President's recommendation to the first schedule be deleted and replaced thereof with the schedule as contained in the order paper, the first schedule. I beg to move that the President's recommendation to the first schedule be deleted and replaced thereof with the schedule as contained in the order paper. And this is necessitated by the presidential memorandum contained recommendation to reduce division of revenue to 380 billion. But that was not that position was not approved by both houses. A mediated position of 387.425 was approved, which now CARA is a subset of DORA, necessitating the schedules to be amended in order to reflect not only the presidential memorandum, however, also the CARA as passed by both houses. The schedules were based on the allocation of 400.01 billion as passed by both houses. And now with the amendment and reduction from 400.01, we could not accommodate the presidential recommendation of 380, but a mediated position of 387 necessitated the changes that, which is still a reduction, because the schedule that was sent with the presidential memorandum was the schedule that was contained in the 400.01.
Honorable Senators, I determine that the nature of this amendment does not fully accommodate the President's memoranda to the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, Senate Bill number 25 of 2024. I propose the question that the first schedule be amended as proposed by the Chairperson, Standing Committee on Finance and Budget. Senator Cherarke.
Mr. Speaker, I agree with the... Oh, sorry, Madam Speaker. Why is Senator Eddy irritated in the morning? Madam Speaker, I concur with the committee's mediation that the counties get 387 billion, Madam Speaker. And you remember last year, the counties got 385 billion. So we have added 2 billion to counties. It should be clear, Madam Speaker, because many people outside there are saying the counties receive reduction. It is not true. We have increased 2 billion from last financial year, Madam Speaker, from 385 billion to 387 billion. I can see Nandi in the proposed memorandum from the President reconsideration Nandi was going to get 7.1 billion. But after the mediation of both National and the Senate, Nandi has increased to 7.3 billion, which is very significant. So this replacement of the first schedule of increment of 387 billion is welcome, Madam Speaker, and I urge members to support, because this is an increment of 2 billion to counties through equitable shareable revenue. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Wambua.
Thank you, Chairperson. I see the mover is smiling broadly because he knows I'm happy to do this. Madam Speaker, Madam Chair, I support the proposal by the committee. And what members need to understand is that in this sitting and on this bill, Madam Chair, we are being called upon to defeat the presidential memorandum. That's exactly what we're being called upon to do. I see Senator Agei trying to sugarcoat the issue, but the truth of the matter is that we are being called upon to defeat the presidential memorandum that has reduced the allocation to counties from 400 billion to 380 billion. We are saying we agree with the mediation committees, mediation committee of the Senate and the National Assembly, that the figure be settled at 387 billion Kenya shillings. Madam Chair, I have looked at the schedule, and I want to assure the great people of Kitui County that we are in good standing. That, in fact, having checked at the schedule, it appears to me that once we pass the conditional allocations, including donor funding, Kitui County will get an upwards of 12 billion, almost 13 billion. For now, in the equitable share, we already have more than 10 billion Kenya shillings. I'm happy that Kitui County, because I speak for Kitui County, Madam Chair, before I can speak for anyone else, that Kitui County is among the only 9 counties in this country that is getting more than 10 billion shillings in equitable share. And so I call upon the governor of Kitui County to be ready to receive this money and roll out projects for the benefit of our people. And just to remind our colleagues again, to turn up in large numbers in the afternoon when we do division, to make sure that we defeat the presidential memorandum. I thank you, Madam Chair.
Senator Khalwale.
Yes, Madam Chair, I thank you. And like Senator Wambua has said, the mediation committee and indeed the committee of this House on Finance have done the unthinkable, that we can all unanimously ask this Senate to defeat the president's desire. The president had wanted it to be at 385, and these 2 great committees are saying, no, let us defeat the president. We make sure that the money is increased to 387. We are sending a clear message to those people who have been peddling lies that this parliament is captured by the executive. It's not true. If we had been captured, we would not have moved to defeat the presidential memorandum. And because defeat of the presidential memorandum requires a whopping 32 delegations, it shows the resolve of this House, collective, to make sure that devolution succeeds. Having said this, Madam Chair, I know you come from the delegation of Kisumu. It should disturb the people of Kakamega that Kisumu's delegation has fought and is able to get 8.4 billion. And on the other hand, the delegation of Kakamega has gotten 12.98 billion. It must be a cause for shame in the thinking and mind of the governor of Kakamega that if you go to Kisumu, Professor Nyong'o, who has got only 2/3 of what Kakamega gets, has done the transformation of Kisumu that we see today. The governor of Kakamega must pull up his socks. He has 12.98 billion shillings, and when you go, you compare to what Kisumu has done. This is a lesson, Madam Speaker, that professionals who know nothing about politics, who know nothing about the people, should not be allowed to come and take positions of governor. Professor Nyong'o is successful because he has been on this journey of serving the public for years. But people like the governor of Kakamega, we don't know where he came from. I don't know whether it is something called Ketrako or what. He has come and he doesn't know he's representing people. With all these billions, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you go to a place like Lamu. Lamu, in this schedule, has a paltry 3.2 billion shillings. And my brother, because he's a people's leader, the governor of Lamu, is taking care of the people of Lamu. You go to Lamu by boat, when you cross like this, you go into the island, you see what Governor Timam has done, and you just wish Timam was the governor of Kakamega, Madam Speaker. This is the time political parties and coalitions should rethink who they give nomination certificates when they ask for elections. We are urging the ODM and UDA, that are the biggest parties in this country, to make sure that certificates are not given to non-politicians. Only politicians should be responsible for taking care of our counties. Mr. Speaker, I am glad, Wambua, I am glad that the chairman of my committee is the national party leader of UDM. I want to urge you, Chairman, if you see UDA and the ODM joking around, giving certificate to strangers to lead counties, expand your party, give the nomination certificate to politicians so that your party will be the majority party in the country. We can no longer be cheated by coalitions and parties so that we force unpopular, useless people to be in charge of our counties, Madam Speaker. I support.
Senator Eddy.
Madam Speaker, I wanted to add my voice and first of all say that I'm very proud of my chair of Finance and Budget, who was also a co-chair in the mediation that we had. I think it was one of the hardest mediation exercises that we have done because, Madam Speaker, it was very hard to bend the wish of the President. The wish of the President was that the counties get 380 billion in this financial year. And Madam Speaker, through the able leadership of the chair, through the able leadership of the Madam Senator Veronica Maina, through the able leadership of Commissioner Wamatinga, through the able leadership of Edwin Sifuna, through the able leadership of Onyonka, the Senator of Kisii, through the able leadership of yours truly, Eddie Gisheru Okech, we were able to mediate and make sure that we could add 7 billion to counties. But the problem is what the Senator of Kakamega has talked about. Whether this money makes sense to our people. We are fighting so hard as senators to make sure that money go to our grassroots communities. If we didn't fight hard in this mediation, Madam Speaker, Migori County, that is now going to get 8.2 billion in this year, could not have gotten that money. Yet if you go to Migori County, Madam Speaker, the requirement that is needed, Madam Speaker, by law is that we must have at least 30% absorption in development, Madam Speaker. Migori County, in Q1, if you look at the COB report, the county assembly passed a target of 36%. And yet, Madam Speaker, if you look at the last financial year, Madam Speaker, we only had 22% in Migori County going to development. So we must not only pass this and support it, Madam Speaker, but our fight must continue to the extent that we must put fire in the bottom of these governors to make sure that money that we have fought for so hard in Nairobi, money that makes sure that we make sure that goes back to the villages. The Honorable Arun Cheriot does not sleep thinking about how we can fight for more money to go to the grassroots, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I've seen you tirelessly working in this house and making sure that money can go to the grassroots, Madam Speaker. I have seen my leader of my minority this side, Mazayo, not going even for weekends, trying to talk and follow up in Nairobi. The Honorable Senator Cherargei has fought so much so that money can go to the grassroots. Yet when it goes down to the grassroots, Madam Speaker, you hear about very crazy and very nondescript vote aids in the counties, Madam Speaker, some hospitality, some domestic travels, skyrocketing in our counties, Madam Speaker. So I want us to support this, and I hope that all senators will be here, at least 32 delegations, to make sure that today we pass this particular bill and make sure that money can go to counties. But we have got a lot of work to do in December, January, February, when we are coming to the village, and the governor should know that we are coming to be with you in the villages to make sure that the money we have fought for to come to our villages, the money I've sent to Migori County, must work for the people of Migori County. The money we have sent to Mandera, my able chair, that money must work for the people of Mandera. The money that we have worked for her to go to Isiolo, we have seen the governor of Isiolo always giving us problem here, does not make money work for the people of Isiolo. These 3 months, we are following back this money, Madam Speaker, and we're going to make sure that this money works for our people. With that, Madam Speaker, I support.
Senator Abbas.
Honorable Speaker, thank you for the question. First and foremost, I want to commend the committee of the mediation committee for the good work they have done. However, Honorable Speaker, as you are aware, this money is actually a constitutional right for people in the counties. The larger population of this country is in the counties. But the most unfortunate thing, our counterparts in the National Assembly see this money coming from the treasury, exchequer, belongs to them. And every time when we reach the time of budgeting and budget making, we always go for mediation. You know that even now, the other additional fund is still in mediation committee. And I'm a member of that committee, and actually, when you see how our colleagues are talking, it's a very unfortunate situation. They think that they have all the right to give money to people. This money belongs to Kenyan the public. It belongs to Kenyans. Everybody is a taxpayer. And therefore, I want to tell the House of the National Assembly, please understand the situation in the counties. This money now has delayed. There's so many pending bills. People have not been paid their rightful money. These contractors have not been paid. The service providers have not been paid. Counties are staff are not getting salaries in time. Doctors are going without salary for some times. Some of them are even killing themselves. So I think this should not be accepted. We want our friends in the National Assembly, honorable members of the Assembly, to understand that this money is constitutionally going to the counties to give services and provide other salaries and everything. And Madam Speaker, actually there's nothing to celebrate, because constitutionally the counties are supposed to get more than 15% of the allocations. But now I don't think it's even 15%. It's less than 15%. This is actually the third time, the third county, what do you call it, the third Senate, the third, since the division started. We're now in 15 years almost. And the money still is getting reduced by the day or by the years instead of increasing it. So I think constitutionally we must adhere and follow the Constitution. We know we have budgetary issues, we have financial issues. The country economy is not very well. But however, it is not to be seen that the counties have been done very fast. What belongs to the counties must be given to the counties. And I wish to tell my governor, Wajir is getting now 9.7 billion. Hopefully, he will be able to use it prudently and pay. I know that we have so many pending bills, about 7 billion shillings pending bill, and I will ask the governor to clear people's money. Thank you so much, and I support.
Senator Onyonka.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, Chair, I would like to sincerely congratulate the mediation team that sat down, and frequently we were having a lot of push and pull, but I want to thank my chair, Honorable Roba, who has actually become an elder statesman in the way he's been carrying himself and the way he's managing our misbehavior sometimes. I want to say that it is interesting to see what we are handling. Madam Chair, if you went and looked at the amount of money that county governments are getting, and you look at what is happening on the ground, and you follow up to see whether this money is working.
Yes, what's your point of order?
Madam Chair, I rise on standing order number 105. Did you hear the Senator of Kisii refer to Senator Ali Roba as an elder? Mr. Speaker, how can a 48-year-old young man compete with my rights as the only elder in this house? Is he in order to mislead the country that a 40-year-old fellow can be an elder in the Republic of Kenya? Where would he get the wisdom to measure to the qualities of being an elder?
Senator Onyonka, might you have misused the word elder? Please explain.
Madam Chair.
Let the point of order be responded.
Madam Chair, unfortunately, Honorable, my leader and my friend, brother, Honorable Halwale, thinks that you become wise and elderly and smart if you are old. It has nothing to do with age. It has a lot to do with the wisdom, the capacity, and the ability for this individual to handle complex and indeed very serious national matters. That gives him the credibility to gleefully accept that title. Madam Chair, I wanted to say that without wasting a lot of time, I realized that Kisii County has actually received the amount of money which is very close to what we received last year. Madam Chair, when we were having the mediation, I felt that the National Assembly should have given us more space so that we could actually remain at the 400 billion that we were talking about. My feeling is that on consultation and discussion, as I said, with the teams from the Budget Committee where I sit and the Mediation Committee where I was sitting, it was generally agreed by our colleagues that we will accept half a loaf than rejecting everything, which made sense because we didn't want to have the government shut down. Madam Chair, my request to the presidency is that the executive made various promises during the election. One of the promises they made is that they were going to devolve functions, and these functions were going to be followed by the resources which would make these functions operational. So far, we are at 2.5 years, and that hasn't happened. I hope that with these discussions which are going on, and particularly with this thing we call broad-based government, I hope that there will be a possibility that we will agree that we are actually going to persuade government, to persuade the presidency to devolve those functions which must be devolved. Further to that, Mr. Speaker, Madam Chair, I would like to say that the Ministry of Agriculture should have been devolved fully. I don't think there's a reason why the government should be buying fertilizer and supplying it to people. This should be a county function. Madam Chair, I believe that the housing sector should be handled by the county governments, of course with some interfacing with the national government. Madam Chair, if you look at the health sector, all our health facilities at the county governments are having challenges and problems. The structures that are in place to manage these outfits are overwhelming and disappointing. I hope that this House, the Senate, that will look at what is happening to our country. By the time we sit here next year, Madam Chair, I would hope that we will be able to come up with legislation that is going to, first of all, make sure that county governments receive their funds effectively from the Treasury and the Central Bank, make sure that the county governments and the assemblies are getting their funds so that they are functional, And I would also like to make sure that we can begin engaging other statutory bodies and the constitutional bodies which are mandated to make sure that we start fighting the corruption that is happening in our country, so that if anything, we can even create deterrence. Madam Chair, what is happening in our country is that yes, indeed, Kenyans are taxed heavily. Yes, the money is actually being collected. And yes, money is going to the national government and is going to the county governments. And yet, when you look at whether there has been any effective utilization of these funds, you find that it's only a few counties that are success stories. I would like to especially congratulate the governor of Murang'a. I don't know whether he's doing well because he was in the National Assembly and he was in the Senate after that. Kangata has done very well. His on-source revenue in 1 year has increased from 200 million to about 1.6 billion shillings. But indeed, Madam Chair, I found out why the young man is doing well. He has got wise people. He has got very successful professional people from Murang'a who he has put to be in his team that is known as the team of advisors on economic and political development of Murang'a. And the problem we are facing, some of us, Madam Chair, is that some of our counties, you will find that we have got challenges. My county, Kisii, and I've been saying this, and I say it with a lot of humility, Madam Chair, is that Kisii County has been receiving money from the exchequer, but the governor has been telling the voters that the government never sends any money. Kisii County last year received about 12.6 billion shillings, and this year they're going to receive literally nearly the same amount of money.
Senator Onyonka,
The scenario that you've got,
can I
yes.
request that you wind up?
Yes, the scenario that you've got, Madam Chair, is that even when Kisii County received that money, in the CRF account, Kisii County has got 6.5 billion shillings, which is not being utilized to do anything. These are the challenges that we must look at. These are the issues we must observe to make sure that even when we are fighting for the national government to give us more money to go to the county governments, the governors must be answerable, must be responsible, and must know that the people who they serve expect more and expect better all the time. Madam Chair, with those many remarks, I support.
Honorable members, allow me to allow us to let Senator Onyonka be the last person to speak on this, unless there is a dissenting voice. I'm requesting that those who have not spoken to just bear with us. You can speak when we discuss when we move to the second schedule. So bear with me. I'll give you the first opportunity for those who have not spoken when it comes to the second schedule amendments. I hope that is fine. I now put the question that the first schedule be amended as proposed by the Chair, Standing Committee on Finance and Budget, division at the end. We will now proceed to consider the second schedule, which is a consequential amendment to the first schedule.
The second schedule.
I propose the question that the second schedule be approved. Mover.
Madam Speaker, I propose that the second schedule be amended by deleting the second schedule and replacing with the second schedule as published in the order paper, which is a consequential amendment arising from the first schedule as proposed earlier. And this covers the ceilings for the executive and county assemblies. And considering that the shareable revenue has reduced from 400.01 to 387.425, which is just 2 billion difference between 385.425 of 2023-2024. The committee had considered the ceilings as covered in 2023-2024, and we have amended that ceiling to reflect inflationary percentage of about 4% in order to make sure that there is marginal consideration from the extra 2 billion that we got, net of what was given as one-off by the Senate and the car reimbursement considerations that were given. Madam Speaker, that now reflects the current shareable revenue of 387 and what is contained in the first schedule, and that considered between the county assemblies and the county executive as ceilings as published. I propose for the amendment of the second schedule as published in the order paper. Thank you.
I propose the question that the second schedule be amended as proposed by the Chairperson Standing Committee on Finance and Budget. Senator Mutinda? Honorable members, I'd like us to limit this debate to not more than 3 minutes per speaker. Thank you very much. Senator Mutinda?
Oh, you've resumed the debate, eh?
Comment on the second schedule. Do you have comments, or do you want somebody else to go?
Madam Speaker, yes, I would maybe give my very few comments, allowing me to start from really appreciating the mediation committee that really looked at this particular process and were able to come to a positive conclusion as far as the additional 2 billion is concerned, Madam Speaker. As far as the schedule is concerned, Madam Speaker, as a committee, in our adoption of the report, we were able to quickly agree that the county assembly, as they have always appeared in our committee, they've always stated the needs that they have, and most of these needs are very, very basic and understandable, especially when it comes to matters, motor vehicle mobility issues, the infrastructure, repair and maintenance, Madam Speaker. And so we still did consideration and considering also 4% inflation cost that is there currently. And so that is how we were able to agree on the figures that are in place. And since we're looking forward also to have the autonomy bill that is going to give the county assembly independence to be able to run their affairs, then they should be able to ensure also out of the austerity measures that are in place, they should be able to cut on costs, especially the travel costs that are not really necessary when it comes to sometimes these issues of capacity building forth and back, so that they can be able to restrain themselves within the budgets that have been approved and allocated to them. So I support, Madam Speaker.
Senator Ledama.
Madam Chair, let me make some brief comments on these amendments which are being proposed. We're here because of the problem that we put ourselves in, where we passed 400 billion, because I strongly believe that form should always follow functions and money should go to counties. And it was completely unprecedented that we were discussing the issue of amendment of ADORA, yet there was still a law which is in existence, and the president's refusal to sign the CARA, based reducing the money to 380 without even having a law that was supporting the 380, was completely unprecedented and unheard of. But this is Kenya, and we are faced with different challenges. We have now found ourselves here where we need a minimum of 32 senators, 2/3, as per the Constitution, to be able to pass these amendments. Because essentially what we're doing is we're overturning the veto of the president. So my first plea is that all senators should now come here today, this afternoon, so that we can send this money to counties. If your senator is not here today, the residents of the 47 counties just know they are the ones who are denying you money. You know, it is important that we send this money. I would wish that we were sending 400 billion, but it is what it is. We got 387 billion, which is 7 billion more than the 380 that the president was proposing. It is less by 13 billion of what we are proposing. But as it is, we have to send money. So today, I want to plead to all the senators that this is our duty. We are here to send money. We will call for accountability of this money. But if we are not here to send the money to the counties, then when projects stall, when people are not paid their money, you can blame us, the senators. Having said that, we have passed a motion in this House to make sure that we pay all pending bills, that all pending bills are paid. I really would like to plead to the governors that the Senate pronounces itself. I wish you could give me a little bit more time, please. But no, you should just turn on the light, because this is very important. Because, Madam Chair, if we don't have senators here today, this bill collapses. You know, it collapses. I wasn't here when you were speaking, but let me just speak from my mind and from my heart. It is imperative. It is imperative. All pending bills must be the first charge of account. You know, we have projects now in our counties for 2022-2023, which are being launched by governors. 2022-2023, and we are now discussing of 2024-2025. They are pending bills that have not been paid. So today, I can tell you, if your senator is not here to pass this bill, today, you will not get money. You will wait until we come back after Christmas. Way back in February. So ask yourself one question. So pick up your phone, call your senator, tell them, go to the House, come, make sure you express your views and you vote for this bill to go. At times we just have to be brutal and we say what it is. So if money doesn't go to the counties, it is us, your senator, who would have denied you that money. So I really would like to request that you're here. Now, coming into the other issue, we have challenges, and I think it's about time that we now recognize and realize the fact that we are here as legislators. We're not here to implement projects on the ground. We have this fight on the RMLF, which is money that ought to go to the counties, that the National Assembly is threatening even to kill this car after we pass it, because they want the RMLF, which is an additional grant or additional allocations bill. Let us separate, and we deal with oranges and oranges, not oranges and bananas. Right now, we are just dividing our share of the shareable revenue among the 47 counties. So I want to also to plead to our colleagues in the National Assembly that when this thing comes, please.
Senator Wafula, nilikuongeza.
Honorable Chair, I want to take this auspicious moment to thank you, to appreciate the committee, the mediation committee, for the job well done, to ensure that the aspiration of the founding fathers of this new constitution to bolster and improve devolution is hastened and protected, Honorable Chair. I want, on behalf of the great people of Bungoma, to thank Mheshimiwa Roba and the team for showing leadership and commitment to what Kenyans expect out of Senate. Honorable Chair, I've done a little bit of comparison of the resources that are coming to several counties of the Republic. Honorable Chair, in the financial year 2023-2024, my neighbor Trans Nzoia County got 7.499823 billion shillings. On the memorandum from the executive, Trans Nzoia County was expected to get 7.389511 billion. That was a reduction of the resources that were going to Trans Nzoia County. In this amendment, through the Senate and the leadership of the mediation committee, Trans Nzoia is going to get 7.540500 billion shillings. That is an increment from the previous financial year, Honorable Chair. In my neighboring county, Busia, financial year 2023-2024, Busia County got 7.475 billion. In the memorandum from the executive, there was going to be a reduction to 7.368 billion. But Senate stood its grounds and ensured our neighbor, Busia, gets 7.514 billion. Let me narrow down to the great people of Bungoma. Financial year 2023, Bungoma got 11.11 billion. The memorandum expected us to get 10.952 billion. And I'm very clear, and I was clear, and I will always be clear, Honorable Chair, that Bungoma deserves more. And through the committee, Bungoma gets 11.170 billion shillings. I want to speak to the great people of Bungoma that this increment is not meant for entertainment. This increment is not meant to travel as tourists. This increment is meant to pay casuals who have down their tools today, to pay pending bills for contractors who have issued ultimatum, to complete stalled projects, to ensure markets have water, electricity, and fences, to ensure medicines are available in our dispensaries, industrial parks are done, the youth get money for projects and not only a policy which cannot be consumed in bank accounts, Honorable Chair. Our scholarship and bursary accounts must be full to pay scholarship and bursary. Where am I saying, Honorable Chair? As we push for an increment in resources, we have to push for accountability. We have to push for transparency. We have to push for public participation to ensure the great people of Kenya, and in particular, the great people of Bungoma, get value for their money. Honorable Chair, as I am speaking, the casuals of Bungoma from July to this December have not earned their monies. We want these monies to go so that they pay casuals. We want CHPs of Bungoma to be paid. And I want Senate to pronounce itself very clearly. Either CHPs are going to be paid by the national government, or CHPs are going to be paid fully by the county government. But this merry-go-round will not be tolerated.
Senator Kio.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I also stand to support the proposed changes in the second schedule on the ceilings to the two arms of government, that is the executive and the assemblies in the county governments. Madam Speaker, I would want to really today just appeal to the county governments, the 47 county governments in Kenya, especially the governors and the county speakers. Now, Speaker, these two leaders must realize that the Constitution, which is the supreme law, recognizes that a county government is only complete when the two arms are functional, the assembly and the executive. But, Madam Speaker, there is a lot of push and shove in a lot of the county governments between the executive and the assembly. I want to call upon governors and speakers of assemblies to realize that they are interdependent, that they need each other to be able to deliver services to the people in the counties. Madam Speaker, I want to ask especially the governors to realize that the assemblies are not an extension of the executives, that the assemblies have their own budgets. They have their own budgets to do their own things. And so if assemblies are passed and approved budgets for them to carry out certain functions, it's only fair that they are not interfered with as they undertake their functions within the law and within their budgets. Madam Speaker, I say this because at the end of the day, once the assemblies are done implementing their budgets and they have made mistakes, they will definitely appear before the Senate Standing Committee on Public Accounts and they will answer to their questions. Madam Speaker, Madam Chair, I want to specifically appeal to the governor of Kitui County and the speaker of the County Assembly of Kitui to cross ranks and agree to work harmoniously for the benefit of the people of Kitui County. I say this because I know there is a tiff now on the implementation of a budget by the County Assembly of Kitui. They should be allowed to just implement their budget, to do what they have budgeted to do. If there are mistakes in the implementation of their own budget, then those mistakes will be corrected through the right procedure. The use of the county resources for the construction of county... Madam Speaker, can I get a minute?
1 minute, Kyo, quickly.
Charage, you know, when you Senator Jerryot, when you called me last night, you told me I must be here. I came here to debate, not to be seen, to comment and defeat the presidential memorandum. That's what you told me to do. You told me to come here and defeat the presidential memorandum. That's what I'm doing. So just in conclusion, Madam Chair, just to appeal to the Speaker of the County Assembly of Kitui and the Governor of Kitui County to cross ranks and just work harmoniously to deliver services to the people of Kitui County. We need those services. We need the Assembly to be vibrant. We need the Executive to be vibrant. The two can work together and the people of Kitui will realize benefits. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Shakila.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise to support the amendments. Madam Chair, it is important as a Senate, we know we are here to protect the counties and the devolution. And since it has been said that people should be here this afternoon to pass these amendments, it is imperative and it is very important for the whips to do their jobs, because we have whip offices which they're supposed to whip the members to ensure that they are in the House wherever they are required. So I want to urge the whips to make sure they whip their members who are here in the office and to make sure that all the members are here to pass this bill so that the money goes down to the counties before we close this House. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, I put the question that the second schedule be amended as proposed by the Chairperson, Standing Committee on Finance and Budget. Division will be at a later time when we have the full delegations. We require 2/3 on this issue. We have now concluded, and we will proceed to the consideration of the next bill, and I wish to invite Senator Sigei to come.